Junkies.
I didn't say anything.
Oh my God!
You said you're gonna say 3, 2, 1. You went 3, 2. We're the Junkies. I mean,
Isn't that how they do it, like on
Yeah,
TV
it's on
and stuff?
TV,
Like a
but-
stage director.
Just
They
throw
say the
one in.
one. All right, ready? 3, 2.
We're the.
No, do the one.
Do the one.
All right, I'll do the one. Do you tell me?
I'm just gonna mouth it.
3, 2, 1. We're the Junkies.
Getting in and coming to hang out and talk with your guys you've known for, in these guys' case, 40 plus years. Jason, I've known him for 30 plus years. Most people don't get the chance to work with lifelong friends. So it's definitely something that we've been blessed with. And, I know we all appreciate being able to do it. But the work part is getting up at 4:15 in the morning. That's the
no
part
joke.
that feels like work.
Yeah,
That's real work.
it is.
I
It's
think
tough.
sometimes for me, it's one of those things where day to day, it might feel like a job. Like you got to get up. What are we going to talk about for 4 hours? But when you kind of look at it globally, it is pretty awesome. I mean, we grew up together. We hung out together. We went to the comedy clubs when we were like 16, 17 years old on like group dates together with girls that we can't even remember. But we went on these things as kids together, and now we're working together. So it's kind of cool when you like step back every once in a while and think about the things that you do.
But we don't hang out anymore.
Yeah.
Well, but you can't.
We
I mean,
hang
we
out
can't.
at
I mean,
work.
our kids are older. we
But
have
you also, you
different
can't
interests.
work with someone,
Yeah.
for 4 or 6 hours a day and
then
then
hang
go
out
hang
with
out
them
at night.
on the weekends.
You can do that once in a while. We'll do it on special occasions.
But we used to vacation together.
Yeah.
Well, you just mentioned something. You mentioned that, what am I going to talk on the show? But as a listener, you guys talk about everything. There's nothing off the table. I mean, you talk about your personal lives. I mean, talk a little bit about how important it is for you all to really share your authentic selves. And is that part of the secret sauce?
I think that's a
Yeah,
huge
I
part
think
of it.
so.
I think, like if you want nuts and bolts sports, you can go anywhere for that. But, I think part of the big allure of this show is that we're relatable to people and they're a core group of 3 or 4 friends or 5 or 6 friends that they grew up with either in high school or college years. And I think they see that same sort of bond that we have. And they're like, I'm kind of like those guys. And I think that's what kind of attracts people.
Everybody has a group of 4 or 5 friends and their own lingo and their own dynamic. And I think people latch onto that with us. Remember, I told you when we were driving in, we're not particularly high on talent, but we're super high on chemistry. And I feel like that's
we know each other. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like they can needle me about having a small head. We can needle Cakes for showing up with huge bags under his eyes.
Yep.
It's just the way that it works.
we can say things to each other that other people can't.
But you couldn't just stick 4 guys together in the studio. I don't know, even after a couple of years and have the same chemistry.
It's never going to be the same.
as 4 guys who grew up together.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
It's like family. We're family.
Right.
You are. It's
And
a
that's
brotherhood.
been like Kik said, that's been the attraction for 24 years. I can't tell you how many times guys have come up to me and go, you guys sound just like me and my buddies sitting at a sports bar or sitting in their basement watching a game.
Well, that's good.
That's what it is.
That's the
So are
idea.
you guys living the dream? Is this a dream come true?
For me, it is. For me,
yeah.
it is. Yeah. I mean, I was a diehard radio nerd. I had idols that I'd listen to daily, and for us to kind of live our lives out in that fashion is amazing to me.
I used
It
to,
beats a regular job. That's the thing. Like I went to law school. It's great. I would have enjoyed being a lawyer, but I'd be putting on a suit and tie, and I'm done at 10. I'm done. Cakes had a real job.
Yeah, I
at
had a
Toys
job
R Us as a
and
manager.
it sucked. And I think that's what a lot of people also that listen to or watch the show, that they see what we're doing and that they're like, I think I could be doing what those guys are doing. It's just it's great
They probably
to be able to do what,
not that
what
hard.
we've done.
I mean, you know how it is because you go to bed early, like I do. You go to bed at 6:30.
Yeah.
So I'm in bed probably no later than 8:30 or 9, depending on what's going on. But I'm in bed when my neighbors are coming home from work.
Which is crazy.
Right.
I mean, if they're pulling in their driveway, at 7:30, I'm already upstairs getting ready to shut it down.
Yeah.
But that's so. What JP's saying, being off at 10 is huge. Being on the golf course by 11:30 is huge.
Yeah, but I found that there aren't a lot
Doing
of
whatever
guys.
you want to do during the day is huge.
I found it's weird because I don't have a lot of friends that are off when we're off. You know what I mean?
It's hard to fill out a
Well, it
foursome.
depends on if they're in sales guys.
Right.
You got a lot of.
I could be at MGM National Harbor and run into your mom at the slot parlor while I'm on the way to the poker room.
Outing Mama Yu.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mama Yu.
So 24 years. with all the success you guys have had in this market, like you all never had to move, you never had to, and you took over for Howard Stern, the slot. I mean, that's huge. Do you guys understand and like?
Oh, we know we've been extremely lucky in
that
that regard. I mean, way back in the day when I was an intern for George Michael's Sports Machine here in DC, like the only path you had to succeeding in sports media was, well, you have to take a job in like Lubbock, Texas, and then move 8 different times and then get a shot, at a major market after 20 years of work. And we know that we've, lightning struck, we took advantage of it, and we've been able to work in our hometown, which is a top 10 market for our entire careers.
I don't even know if it's been done. Someone would have to check the record books.
Annie's doing it.
Call it Guinness.
Check the
Somebody
record
call it
books.
on
Guinness.
television. So I mean, in radio, I don't think that's ever been done.
But I think that's part of the
24 years in
charm.
one
Kind of
market.
going back to what I said, we've always been a real show. And I think that's how they actually marketed us earlier. It was like 4
regular guys.
Back then, it was 4 regular guys in their 20s. It's a lot different now. But we're real, authentic, and part of it is we come from here. So we can tell stories from growing up in PG County and driving into DC, going to Baltimore and things like that. It's real.
It is.
But when you ask that question, can you fathom I really can't. I can't believe we've been doing it since '96, essentially.
Basically half of our lives.
Half of our lives we've been sitting in the studio.
And that's part of the reason I think too why, like when the Capitals win the Stanley Cup or when the Nats win the World Series, it's not like we're 4 guys that got brought in from Chicago that are now doing a show here in DC. We're all born and bred here. We've lived here our entire lives. We don't know anything else. And I think that comes through to people.
That's a great point. And you all you're recognized as icons in this market, so much so that you all were part of the victory parade for the Stanley Cup, the World Series.
The most undeserving people.
Yes, very
When
undeserving.
you all tweeted that, I was like, what? No, I'm kidding. Of course. I mean, it makes total sense because people love you guys here.
Well, I think, look, we represented the radio
Ted
station.
Leonsis has personally invited you guys to be a part of the victory
Look at
parade.
his right hand. He's wearing
That's
he's wearing a
huge. What is
Washington
that?
Capitals Stanley Cup ring.
Talk about this.
I mean, look at that.
Well,
That's amazing.
The Caps were amazing in us
Yeah.
to fit us all for rings. We're the rights holders. Our station is the right holder for the Caps and for the Nats, and I think that's a big reason why we were invited to be part of the parade. But it was an unbelievable honor for us.
Do you guys
And I don't think
share
any
that
of us
ring?
can even
No,
skate. None of us can even skate backwards, right? Can
No.
anybody here skate?
I can skate forward barely.
What was that like? Well, first of all, when they told you that you're going to be part of this,
I think I started to cry. When they said
it's-
we were getting rings, I think I might have teared up a little bit.
Well, Jason was immediately looking at how much it was appraised for.
Pretty good value.
JP's. I think the reason he doesn't have it on is because NYU cost $70 grand.
He might have sold it.
I think it's already been hopped.
No, but because we're somewhat white trash, we're like, are we gonna get the like the top line rings or like the $99 knockoff rings? But the Capitals are first class organization. We didn't get the players rings, but I think we got like one tier below. I mean,
We got the scaled down
It's
version.
a very amazing piece of jewelry and memento from
what was it like
that
to
run.
walk through the victory parade?
But I mean, it kind of goes to the larger theme you're talking about. We're just lucky. We're lucky.
Yeah.
Now, we made our luck early. We started the cable access show.
Well, it's
we
luck.
And we did well along the way with ratings and things like that. But we're lucky that we're friends in our hometown doing a radio show for years.
And I felt like
years.
when we were there, we were representing the fans. We were representing the
Right.
radio station, and we were representing the fans.
But it was also surreal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, to see the streets lined with thousands and thousands of people.
And they won.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I went with John's family. His dad was a season ticket holder.
Yeah.
They were big Caps fans growing up. I went with his family to a Save the Caps rally when I was, 6 or 7, 8 years
Probably,
old.
yeah.
I can't even remember what it was. He was that into the Caps, and for them to win, it was hugely emotional.
Absolutely. I mean,
But we went years not knowing or thinking that we were going to cover a championship, a world
Yeah.
championship team.
Yeah,
now,
we've covered losers for 20
Maryland
years.
won the national championship in 2002.
It was big, but
That was
that's a
big.
smaller scale.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously big for you guys because you went there, but we never thought the Caps would win.
Yeah.
We never thought the Nats would win.
We could actually have a real career if
Right.
we had
I
winners
don't-
around here.
None of us believe in curses. Well, maybe Cakes does.
Maybe a
I don't
little bit.
believe in a curse, but so many listeners for many years believed in this DC curse because the Redskins for the last couple of decades, they've stunk. This is as long as we've done the show. The Redskins have pretty much been mediocre or bad. And you could say the same thing for all these teams. The Caps were a team that was a contender, but always giving us heartbreaks. Same thing with the Nationals. And now all of a sudden we're on a run.
yeah, and you start to buy into it. Like a few years ago before the Caps had won the Cup, I would talk to my daughter and say, well, if the Caps can't win with Ovi and Backstrom and this collection of talent, how are they going to break through with anybody else? How are they ever going to win one? Luckily, they got hot at the right time. Caught a few breaks and wound up winning.
I will say this, and don't put this on the show.
Yeah.
If they win another one and I have 2 rings, I'm selling one. There's no point in having 2.
You got to put that on.
You
got to put that on.
Elaborate on it felt surreal, walking through the streets lined with thousands of people just as excited as you guys are.
Right.
Like, talk about that.
Here,
What
can I
was
tell you
that
what
like?
was surreal? And this, I want to say this in the most humble way possible, is we knew we were add-ons. We were there because we represented the radio station. The radio station paid a lot of money to broadcast the games. We knew our place. But when we walked through both parades, people knew who we were. That's what blew me away, is that it wasn't just like, hey, who are those guys? It's like, hey, Junkies, hey, Cakes, hey, JP. And people were nice. I think one guy out of the 2 parades said something negative to us, which was just shocking to me. They were screaming our names. They were screaming the Junkies. They were screaming Cakes. And that blew me away.
And it also transports you back. It transported me back to like being a kid, watching the Caps when I was 10 years old at the Capitol Center, when you could still smoke inside the arena. This place is hazy. And, the team was losing all the time. And then you fast forward 30 plus years and, you're walking in a parade for a team that's finally broken through and won the Stanley Cup, something they hadn't done in 44 years.
It was emotional.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
But to get back to your question about can we fathom like how many people listen and we've been in the market for something, I honestly can't because, I see the ratings, but it's over my head. I don't even understand the ratings. But, when we do the show or we take some calls, but we don't see our fans. And then we go home and we do our thing. We're with our wives and kids. I don't even think about it.
You just do it again.
Yeah, we just
Every
do it.
once in a while, it blows
I don't
you
even
away.
think about it.
Like for our 20th anniversary, we had bobbleheads made of us.
Yeah.
And there were like lines wrapped around Tyson's corner for the Junkies. It was like, what the heck is happening here?
Right.
It's
Right,
like
and then,
every once in a while you will see it, but generally we're in our studio and kind of our own little
Day to
cave,
day,
our
we
own
can't
little
fathom
world.
it.
So it's cool, but part of it is, we're fortunate. Longevity. We've been around forever.
If you tell us that people listen, I'll believe you.
Yeah. But it's hard to know because they're just 4
It's so
guys
much
in the room.
so that you have, and we touched on this, that you have listeners who followed you from the very beginning, the P1s, and who followed you throughout the years. 24 years is a long career, and to be successful during that time is very impressive. It's very hard to do, especially in talk radio, when you've got changes happening all the time, new talent coming up, but you all have been so steady and so successful over those 24 years. Do you ever feel the pressure to reinvent or keep it fresh? Like, do you guys ever feel that pressure, or do you just...
You feel
There
pressure.
were times.
Certainly in the...
There were certain times maybe at HFS or maybe right after HFS that we felt that. We would have the meetings. The numbers weren't necessarily great. Sorry, what should we do here? You remember those days.
Of course.
But now I think we just kind of do our thing.
Yeah.
We've been doing it so long. I think one of the keys is just trying to have fun.
Yeah.
And if we're having fun, then our listeners are having fun. And it is cool that people have grown up with us.
Yeah.
We started this thing in our 20s. We were kind of almost this frat boy feel to the show. And now we're guys who have kids that are in college.
Cake's going to be a granddad soon.
It
could happen.
Soon.
It could happen.
What do you find it soon?
You
Like
gotta-
5 years?
2 years.
Your son
2 years.
graduated
Oh, that's-
college.
That's a great thought.
But
I
so,
was thinking
we have all these people that'll come up to us. We do an annual poker tournament over at MGM National Harbor. I'm just blown away. 700 listeners show up to play poker with us. And a lot of them get bounced out in like 15 minutes.
Well, they don't just show up. They
And
pay
they'll say-
$300.
Right, they pay $300. They play for like a half an hour. Like, had a great time. I'm like, you just spent $300 to play a poker tournament for 30
These
minutes?
are my people, the degenerates of DC,
Right.
Maryland, and Virginia. I love
So,
all of
you see that from time to time, but these are people, though, that have been listening to us during all those years that the Redskins were terrible. Listen to us as we were having kids, our kids growing up, listening to us through all, like, the ups and downs of life. So that's kind
It
of
blows
cool.
me away. Like if we're doing an appearance,
Yes, did
somebody will
too.
come up and tell us, well, I've been listening to you since I was in 7th or 8th grade, and now that guy is like 35 or 38 years old. And you realize they've been with us basically the entire time, which
Yeah.
is amazing.
And what's the biggest misconception about the Junkies?
Oh.
I know early on it was, what are your other jobs?
Yeah.
That really used
That
to
was-
rankle us. Because we do, listen, we know that we're blessed and we're lucky to have this job, but it takes real effort and we're really trying. And And, our lives revolve around it, but people thought for, I'd say, the first 10 years or so, that they must have other jobs that can't be real.
That's the big one.
That was a pet peeve.
That and do you get in early to prepare for the show? Always ask that. They think I get in at 4:30 or 5 to prepare for a 6 o'clock show.
Right. But like I said, our whole life is preparing.
Right.
Just living your life is prep for the show.
Watching a game is prep.
I think one misconception is that we watch and or attend every single sporting event. You just can't do it. Like, especially like people are like, you must go to a ton of Caps and or Wizards games. And I'm like, I go to some, but they're usually on a Friday or a Saturday because I'm sorry, look at the bags under my eyes. I can't go to games on a Tuesday night where I'm going to get home at midnight and get 4 hours.
You got up at 4:30.
Are just like us.
Yeah.
Like we can't make every game. I think that speaks to your brand, like who you guys are.
We didn't start in sports radio, we started in talk radio. We started in guy talk. And so we knew we needed more than just men to listen for this show to be successful on the station we were on.
Yeah.
And so we tried to make it as broad as we could.
It's also, though, like, we're sitting down having a meal, right? If we were hanging out without cameras, without radio, we're guys who are into sports, so we talk sports, but we'd also talk about our lives. We'd talk about pop culture. We'd talk about movies. And that's what we wanted the show to be like, kind of a reflection of as if we were talking at a sports bar or a restaurant.
Do your kids think it's cool, like your job?
No, they don't care.
Come on.
No.
They don't care.
They really
I
don't.
think my kids actually think it's
I don't even
pretty
know.
cool,
My
actually.
daughters,
My kids think it's actually a pretty
I
cool
don't think my
job.
daughters even know what the hours are of the show.
My daughter didn't even know we did an entertainment page on the show.
And that's your segment.
For 20
that's your
years.
baby.
Yeah, she didn't even know we did that.
That is hysterical.
Yeah.
Over the years, you've talked to so many people, celebrities, athletes, I mean, porn stars, whatever. Like you, nothing is off the table with you guys. Your favorite guest of all time?
I always say this, it's easy, it's Cal Ripken. I had 3 posters in my bedroom growing up. Cal Ripken was one of them. To like get to know Cal in some respects, he's been in studio a few times. That's my number one.
Mine, I think I told you this, is rest in peace, John Witherspoon, the comedian / actor. And he would come in studio and just didn't have to sell anything. He didn't come in with shtick.
He was just funny.
He was just a funny guy. He got along with us. He got us. We got him. And when he died not too long ago.
Died like less than a year ago.
Last summer, maybe. I was actually hurt because every time he came in town to perform at the Improv, he would come in the studio.
He invited us into his house in LA, and I believed it.
Oh, yeah. He would have had us in over for dinner.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites. We've had all the big name stars, and Cal Ripken was great. I played basketball at Cal Ripken's house a couple times, and that was awesome. But for me, it was John Witherspoon.
We probably should say Tony Perkins. Fantastic.
Tony's great. We love Tony.
Evie, you want to weigh in?
What? I think I told you driving in. Cal, I agree. Idolizing Cal and getting to know him, over the last 20 years has been amazing for us. And then Magic Johnson. That one time, we actually had him in studio 2 times, and he just lights up a room and he makes you feel like $1 million. There's something special about him. But, it has to be in person. We've interviewed Ben Affleck on the phone, Matt Damon on the phone,
Yeah.
And it's
gotta be something
different,
unique,
but it's
yeah.
got to be in person. When you do it in person, that's when you get a chance to connect.
I think one of my favorites are some guys we have a lot in common with, the fellows from OAR, the band that came from Rockville. They basically started the same time as us, down-to-earth guys, family guys, and they've built this amazing career and have this great following. And, they started in a garage in Rockville, kind of like us starting doing local cable access.
Very similar career arc.
Yeah, so those
Except
guys
they're
are
more
always
successful.
And they're always cool to us anytime they're, in town and not touring all over the world. Those are some good dudes.
There's some guys that are cool, though. And I'm sure we'll probably have him on in the next month or 2 because he's coming to MGM. But Mike Tyson's always great when we have him on. There's some people that just have that charisma. Like E.B. mentions Magic Johnson. Tyson, I think we've only had phoners with him. But he's Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although, and then, Cakes does his Tyson impersonation, which is fantastic.
It's the worst impression ever.
Tyson talks to Tyson.
We interviewed Tiger.
Yeah.
Briefly, but we had him on.
Well, Tiger is hard because he'll give you those canned answers and he's got very little personality. I think part of your success too, just as a listener, is you guys ask a lot of questions that are silly, but also there's you guys ask the tough questions, but also the questions that people have on their minds. Is it when you have an athlete like Tiger who's kind of giving you very little, how do you draw that out of him?
The Tiger, you probably don't. But.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that most big name guests would probably be asked the same question. So maybe they are willing to talk about other things that, off the wall questions about their personal lives or whatever. I don't know. It's a good question.
You just try to get them to relax. And I think also we learned too is you try to let them know that we're not trying to get you in a gotcha moment. Not trying to get you in trouble. Not trying to get you to say something outlandish. We're just trying to get to know you.
So if you could send a message to your fans, old and new, what would that be?
Keep listening.
Listen as much as you can.
We don't want to go back to those real jobs.
We're not trained for anything else at this point.
Well, I think also that we're grateful and that we appreciate it, and that if it weren't for the people that have listened to us all these years, we wouldn't be here today, and we wouldn't have the lives we have today. So, I mean, we're indebted to them, to our listeners, forever.